Oh, we're gonna start with a song. I got a song in my heart. Got a song in my heart, and you know what? I've been thinking about this song quite a bit. Oh yeah. We're gonna play a little wind instrument too. Sing along if you know it, and then we're gonna get started. I've got some stuff I want to talk about today, but we're gonna have a little sing along. Well, just a little sing along. Hey, good to see you guys. All right, here we go. Sing along if you know it. Oh yeah. Hey guys, good to see you guys. Thanks for sticking around a little later today. Well, she grew up in an Indiana town, had a good-looking mama, never was around, but she grew up tall, she grew up bright, with those Indiana boys on the Indiana nights. All right, here we go. Well, she grew up, moved around here at the age of 18, blew the boys away, it's more than they'd seen. I was in it, said the city start grooving, said it's thinking better, but I gotta keep moving. On. Keep moving on. Oh, here we go. Sing along, man. Last day with Mary Jane. One more time to kill the pain. I feel summer's creeping in. I'm tired of this town again. Well, I don't know, but I've been told you never slow down, never get old. Try slowing up. Tired of this town, tired of this life, tired of this town. Oh my, oh hell yes. Honey, put on that party dress. Buy me a drink, sing me a song. Take me as I am, cause I can't stay long. Just dead to Mary Jane. One more time to kill the pain. Good to see you guys. I feel summer creeping in and it's time again. Well, there's pigeons down on Market Square. She's standing in her underwear, looking down from the hotel room. Nightfall will be coming soon. Oh, have I? Oh, hell yes. Honey, put on that party dress. It's too late to roll and walk up alone. I hit the last number and went to the road. Last day to Mary Jane. One more time to kill the pain. I feel summer's creeping in and I'm tired of this town again. Oh my God, guys, that kind of felt good. That felt good to do today. Guys, what a crazy day it's been. I have not eaten much today at all. And it's not actually by my, hey, it's nice to have you guys here. We're going to talk about some stuff Want to grade my English papers, James? No, I do not want to grade your English papers. I have to grade enough English papers on my own. James, are you an English professor? If you're an English professor, hey, brother, nice to have you here. Guys, I'm seeing some familiar names. Hey, Simple Jim's here, Lee's here. Ricardo, it's nice to have you here, my friend. James, let's see here. Yeah, you got it, man. Hey, serenading. This is Tony. Hey, Tony, I don't want to grade your paper, man. Hey, good luck on your paper, though. It's good to see you guys. Hey, and you know what? Today is Friday. We're going to actually learn something. We're going to talk about something that actually recently I've been thinking about quite a bit more lately, and it's the idea of a desire. What is it? A desire path. Have you guys ever heard of a desire path before? Like, of course, the idea. I have a desire. I'm going to go in this direction with my life. But there's an actual term. That is desire path. And this actually, I'm glad Tony brought up English professoring because this is something that you'll actually see on college campuses all the time, desire paths. You might see them, in, throughout a town, in a park. A lot of times you'll see them in like if you go to the park or some kind of like a state park or some kind of a nature place. Hey, Rusty Gaming is in the house. Good to see you, my friend. I'm glad you stopped. I noticed you were doing your live just a minute ago, Rusty, and so I was like, oh no, we're gonna cross paths. You don't want to cross paths, right? But I'm so glad you're here, my friend. But yeah, desire paths. We're talking a little bit about desire paths. Now, what it is? Have you ever seen college campuses are notorious for this. And of course, I work on a college campus. So you'll see all of these really nice sidewalks and, maybe they're even like with bricks, they go around or they're paved sidewalks where they want you to, walk. That's the intended place. We walk. Okay, you're supposed to walk on this. But what do we do as human beings, right? What you'll see is these worn paths that maybe they cut through a grassy area, or maybe they're they kind of round out a corner that is a 90-degree angle with the sidewalks. These are called desire paths, and they are kind of like the modern day equivalent of a game path. If you're familiar with game paths, they essentially, game paths are the beginnings of all human civilization's roads. So it's of all paths, right? So there was a time whenever roads did not exist, and it's believed that humans didn't invent roads, animals did, and so we do this still to this day. We have these things called desire paths. Now animals have them, and we call them game paths. In fact, okay, I'm already going to do a sidebar to the point that I was already going to make. But actually, it all comes back to making the initial point that I want to make today. Did you know, actually, one of the ways that we as early humans, we were able to find salt in nature, right? Natural sources of salt. One of the ways we were able to find that was we followed game paths. Because we're talking Neolithic, early times of human history. We didn't usually need to supplement with salt because we got enough sodium in everything we eat. And really, we overdo it nowadays when it comes to elemental sodium. But you do need, each day you do need a certain level of sodium to come into your system. And the vast majority of that can be done through diet. You don't have to add salt, really. But whenever we started to learn, hey, this thing is something that we like. This thing is something that adds value to our food and makes it taste better. And in fact, it is something that's necessary for survival. We would actually follow game paths because the animals, they knew where it was. And so we would be, okay, well, what do you guys, where is this game path going? And we would follow it, and we would find natural sources of other resources as well. But one of the natural resources that we would find was salt. we would actually find these salt. And so basically, these are kind of the ancient equivalent of what we would call today as a desire path. And desire paths, you can see them all the time. And the thing is, it's something we see all the time. And for some reason, I've just been thinking about them a lot lately. And I don't know if I necessarily have a huge point to make, but there are, I think it's something that, there's a parallel in our lives where there's a lot of clear-cut paths, right? And it is easier if someone else thinks for you and they've got a clear-cut path. Here's the road that we made for you. This is where you're going to go back and forth, and this is your life, and this is what you're going to be doing. And that's the path. But we have it inside of us that we know which way we're wanting to go. Like there's, even if in this microscopic example of a desire path that you might see on a college campus or in a park or someplace, we actually deep inside, we actually have these things where it's like, okay, I know where I really want to, I know what path I want to take. It's so much easier though to say, well, what are the paths that are already there? And I'm not saying that those are bad, right? Because I mean, like I said, with game paths, those really helped us to find elemental sodium, and it helped us survive as a species. And you can sometimes find, hey man, if there's a road, maybe there's a reason, right? But I do want to just, it's stuff like this. I just, especially after the day I've had today, the reason why I was late in this live broadcast, and I appreciate you guys sticking around for it. And I'm going to take your questions here in just a minute. I see some questions, but yeah, the reason why I went without eating much today, I think I've had a hand or maybe 2 or 3 handfuls of mixed nuts and a protein bar. And let me tell you, that's weight loss for me. That, like, my caloric expenditure is far higher than whatever I have eaten. And in fact, what I've been videotaping, I've been working on a project that I cannot wait to release. I cannot wait to unveil this to you guys. And there's some really awesome stuff that's coming out, but it's not stuff that is out there right now. And it's something that I'm just so thankful that I get to work with some people that are just as inspired to kind of like try to figure out, let's figure this new way out. Let's just try it out. And I've been really blessed to work with some very talented people. And today is an example of that. So they just left. And I didn't know how long we were going to be able to work, but basically we've been filming all day, and I was like, okay, I am so fired up. I'm empty when it comes to calories. I'm empty right now, but I'm incredibly fired up and just really excited for the future. Good things are coming, and you guys will be the first ones to know about it. Especially guys, if you're in my Patreon club. You're going to be finding out about it, and you might be getting some pretty awesome exclusive offers. So a lot of cool things coming up right now. A lot of cool things going on right now in the Midwest and in much of the world, or not much of the world, in the Midwest and much of the eastern half of the United States. We are undergoing snowstorms and ice storms. And yesterday, I was fortunate enough to be able to film pretty much all morning long. Well, a lot yesterday out in the just pure cold. And it's just been really awesome. And I probably overexposed myself a little yesterday. And a lot of people ask me about this, and I'll just tell you, sometimes people say, hey, after I take a cold shower or after I take an ice bath or something like that, I feel really tired. And yeah, you've just expended an enormous amount of energy. Your body has expended an enormous amount of energy trying to maintain homeostasis. So here I was yesterday, just walking around in shorts in the snow, and we were doing that for hours, and it was just awesome. And I'm looking forward to releasing a video soon. So that's going to be really cool. But I've got to start making videos that are about things other than just cold exposure. I took a look at my Well, maybe we'll do more than one video, Rusty. And I see these questions here, and I'm going to come back to them, or at least I will try. Guys, also, we do have the super chat that is open if you want me to go straight to your question. You know, if you want to buy me lunch or a slice of pizza, you know, I'm always happy to go straight to your question. But I'm going to try to get to all your questions today. But yeah, we might be doing more than one video out of all that footage. Hopefully more than one video out of the footage. But I've noticed that I've been making nothing but cold exposure videos. And so the thing is, if you were to see outside, like Rusty was saying, he's got 9 degrees. It's super cold here. I'm doing an enormous amount of cold training. I'm really getting deep into it. So I'm like, oh yeah, there's another thing I could do. Oh yeah, there's another point I'd like to make. So guys, I realize I've been kind of going on and on about cold with all my videos in the past, I think almost 2 months worth of nothing but cold exposure videos. So we're going to get back into doing some other stuff soon. Especially when it comes to your health and wellness, to fitness, and of course breath work, which is one of my, literally I wake up every morning and I just can't believe that it works. I'm just excited. I'm like, oh, this is so cool. And this is something that I've dedicated an enormous amount of my life, enormous amount of time to, X number of years, quite a few years at this point. And I'm probably going to be doing the rest of my life. So I'm excited about that. So let's see here. Let's go into take a few questions, and we'll get into some conversations. Guys, I really want to thank you guys for being here because, you know, normally it's 2 to 4 or 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock is when I do these live sessions. And so now is kind of an off time. And so we'll take some questions here. All right. I got to go back up to the top. Let's see here. Thank you, Dubroy27. I don't know. Sometimes I have to question whether or not there's a brain at all in there. So I got to say right now I'm running on empty, but I'm running on so much excitement. I'm running on adrenaline. So I got weird. Maybe my eyes are kind of dry. I had to turn off the humidifier in the house, and the heater's been on all day, and it just dried out the air. And so let's see here. All right, let's get into some questions here. James, pre-law by day, competitive CrossFitter by night. Killing it, man. Awesome. So let's see here. Take the road less traveled is exactly right. And sometimes you got to forge your own road. You know, sometimes you should take the road that's already out there, but you know, it depends. Let's see here. About 5 ordinary days, I'm able to 10 plus. Okay, maybe I missed the first part of that question. Let's see. As long as those foods with good taste and cause happiness, we will get addicted, sadly, no matter how bad it is. Well, sometimes, you know, it's true. There are parts, and this is something I touch on in my book. Actually, a good portion of it is the fact that our biology, our psychology, and our physiology, we are programmed for good reason to seek out certain nutrients, certain things, right? And especially the sweet. When it comes to sweet, not only do we send signals anytime you taste something sweet, even if you can't taste it. There's what we consider a ganglia, the nodose ganglia, and it will, even if you can't taste the sweetness, and of course you guys know that there's sugar in just about everything. They add sugar to stuff, and then sometimes they'll add sugar, and then they'll add salt and sugar, even to a food that really isn't that sweet or that salty, but it's just like, wow, why is it that I want to eat all of this? And so yeah, so there's of course, what is it? The snack foods industry has been constantly under scrutiny, not enough scrutiny, but under scrutiny for making things that are actually just too like addictive to our palate. And so, yeah, sweet and salty, all these things, absolutely. All right, Nico, you know what? You asked this question, Nico Rome. I hope you're still here. You asked this question last time, and I promise I did not neglect you. I just didn't see the question last time, and I I just didn't answer you, so I apologize. So Nico, if you're here, we'll answer this question. So Nico asks, okay, cannabis and breathwork. What is your opinion on this? So this is one of those things where I would say myself, I don't really indulge in cannabis on anything close to a regular basis. Enzo said snort some meth. Well, okay. I definitely don't do that. But Nico, he even added just a second ago, he says cannabis really pushes my mental focus during breath work and cold exposure. Thoughts? Okay, so let's talk about it. We'll break this down. So I'm not the type of person that says, hey man, don't do it. Or I'm not the type of person who's going to say, you're never going to experience the greatness that could be if you don't do cannabis, right? So I'm not going to take any one of these camps. Now, I will tell you this. In the past, like whenever I was younger, I would say from the ages of, let's say like 16 to maybe the ages of 16 to 28, I smoked weed like every day, like all the time, like all the time. And it was not a good way of doing it. It was a way of escaping reality. It was a way of, not having to deal with my emotions. It was a crutch. It was a bad thing. And it led to other things. So when people talk about, marijuana as a gateway drug, and of course, I know I just triggered like half of just a bunch of people. Oh my God. Well, okay. It was that way for me. For me, it was like, well, if this is okay, well, then I'll try these other things. And it led to really a lot of other things. I partied pretty hard for more than a decade. And so for me, it was one of those things where I realized that I had to put it down. However, what's funny is I would say in the past 5 or maybe more years than that, it is something that's, it pops up. It's legal in many states now. And interestingly enough, the only people that I have, been around that I'll put it this way, because I want to watch how I put this. I know many breath workers who are awesome breath workers who I would recommend, hey, go see this person. Obviously, read my book and I would love to work with you, but I can't work with everybody. Go to this person here. They're just as good, if not better than I am, who use cannabis. Okay. And they do just fine. All right. And so here's the thing. I think as with anything, so I would say as with anything, whether it's cannabis, whether it's caffeine, whether it's whatever it is, you have to know, is this something that is serving me, or is it something that is maladaptive? Is this something that I'm using as a crutch? Am I using it as an escape, or am I using it as a tool? Right? Because you can use these things as tools and then, whoa, awesome. Is it something that you have to do before every breathwork session, or else the breathwork session just doesn't work? That would be, in my opinion, maladaptive. I don't want to have to depend on anything. But if it's something where you're like, okay, well, this over here, occasionally, maybe it's a tool. I'm okay with it. Okay. Personally, it's not my path. I'm married and I have a child, and there's a lot of things. And for me, it's just not something. I know that for me, it's just not something for me to do on any kind of close to regular basis or anything like that. However, I'm not going to sit here and say it's a bad thing. So I think that is like so much in life. And I was talking about this last week. Here, we love to get into this oversimplification of everything. People, we all do, and I'm no different. And it's hard. We have to think about this. We have to really critically think, and no one really wants to critically think. And hey, critical thinking is difficult and it's uncomfortable sometimes. But we have to get out of this. We have to get out of this, I guess, paradigm where it's either good or it is bad, right? Because there are things that are oftentimes good that can be bad. And there are things that are oftentimes bad that can be good. But there's an enormous amount of gray area there too. So the world is more complicated than is it good or is it bad? Am I for it or am I against it? I always go back to context matters, situation matters, you matter, your biology matters, your physiology matters, your attitude matters. It all matters. So I wouldn't say I'm going to take a hard stance one way or the other about it. And so we've got a few comments on that. Let's see here. That is hard drugs, Mickey D's. Yeah, Mickey D's, dude. Oh. All right, let's see here. So hey, Stephen Wesner on the super chats. Let's take a look at Stephen's question here. Read the audiobook real quick. And this is kind of just me being me. I oftentimes read books on audio, and then someone will be talking about a book, and I'll say, yeah, I read that book, but sometimes I feel like I shouldn't say I read it because I actually listened to it. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. But okay, read the audiobook on Breathwork. So I assume you're talking about my audiobook on Breathwork. Very clear and helpful always. Thank you for so much. Are you doing any Wim Hof method workshops in Northern Indiana soon? Let's talk about that. I'm not doing it. So Stephen Wesner, thank you so much. I actually, I don't have anything on the books in Northern Indiana. I have in May, I will be in Vernon Hills, which is a suburb of Chicago. So that's I think late May. You know what? I'm going to get my second brain out and I'll tell you the exact date of, let's see, May 22nd, May 23rd. You can go to my website, jessecoomer.com, and then click on events. And then you can take a look at those. And basically on the first day, it's going to be Wim Hof Method Fundamentals. So that's going to be, how exactly, yeah, I've seen all the videos on YouTube. I know, generally what I'm supposed to be doing. Okay, let's talk about the actual technique, the Wim Hof Method breathing protocol. And then, of course, we'll talk about some of the theory. We talk about what's going on in your brain. We talk about a lot of that stuff. And then, of course, you get to take an ice bath. So that is going to be on Saturday, May 22nd. And then on Sunday, May 23rd, I'm going to be doing an advanced Wim Hof Method workshop. And it's the same place. It's in Vernon Hills at the Spear Training Center. Some of you guys have seen James Stewart, Jesse and James. We like to work together. I love working with James. He's going to be there with me as well. But anyway, the advanced workshop is on Sunday. And if you go to the advanced workshop, not only are you we're going to tweak and really work on, we do what I like to call the laboratory. We have a laboratory session on how to tweak your Wim Hof Method protocol breath work. Then I take you super deep into altered state breath work. We do DMT style breath work called power breathing. So, I mean, just like, and then after that, after lunch, we have the ice games. And so I have my own, I developed the ice games. I think it was like 3 years ago, whenever I first started doing regular Wim Hof Method advanced workshops. I was like, okay, yes, there's ice baths. But when you do an advanced workshop, I have a bunch of different kind of ice bathing challenges for you. So it's going to be a great time. So if you want to take a drive now, if you're in Northern Indiana, Stephen, I'm going to try. I have a friend with a gym in Indianapolis, and I know that's not really considered Northern. It's Northern Indiana to me, but I've got a buddy in Indianapolis. I haven't been to his gym in a while. And I'd like to do exactly what I just said. I'd like to do that at his gym. And I'm trying to think about when that's going to be. Sadly enough, it might be in the summertime, but summertime is always a great time. And actually, one of the things that I wish people knew is that you can cold train in the summertime. Ice baths in the summertime are awesome. And in fact, a lot of my favorite ice bathing is in the summertime. Like today, I'll go walking in the snow barefoot. I'll meditate in the snow. I'll have a lot of fun with the outdoor cold. Maybe I'll even dip in a lake or something like that in the wintertime, whenever nature is cold. But man, whenever I look at summer as ice bath season, it's whenever I can really push myself in that ice bath. Now, obviously, I've been doing this for a long time, so I'm not pushing myself to hypothermia, which you can still do in the summertime, but I'm pushing myself. And in the advanced workshops, the cool thing is you can actually push yourself a little bit further if it is in the summertime. I've done some of them in July when it's just hot. I mean, it's just really hot outside. And you can really do some cool things whenever it comes to ice bathing at an advanced Wim Hof method workshop. So look out for, I'm going to try, I keep on, the weird thing is my schedule keeps filling up. I am crazy overbooked. I've got a lot of sessions that are not public. And then, so there's always, there's a lot of good things happening, but I've got to really work on the scheduling. Probably I'm looking at June or July for Indianapolis. And, I'd love to get up to Michigan. I actually, before the pandemic hit, I had a workshop set up for Michigan, in Lansing, Michigan. We were going to do a 2-day thing, just like what I was describing. And of course I had to cancel. And the issue is there that the breathing area, like the actual indoor space, is kind of small. So I'm going to need to wait probably a little longer for that. But I'm looking for bigger spaces. I'm actually going to think about here in my small town of Nowheresville, this is Vincennes, Indiana, in this very small town. There's all sorts of beautiful nature. And I'm like, well, why am I not doing things here? And so I'm thinking about doing something in Southern Indiana too, Stephen. So, hey, thank you so much for your donation, brother. I'll get a piece of pizza or maybe some, I don't know, chicken wings, man. The thing about chicken wings is you really got to watch. And it's just disgusting, really, with a beard. And, I'll eat some some cheating. I try to keep my diet clean. I really do try to keep my diet clean, and I'm cleaning up my diet more now than over the holidays. But hey, you can only go so clean before it gets no fun. So, it's got to be. You got to keep the fun in it too. Let's see here. So Sam, I'm going back up the list, and again, thank you so much, my friend, for that super chat. Samuel Dummon says, "Hello, Jesse. After watching your video on shivering and hearing you say you may feel warm being a sign of afterdrop." Okay, well, let's talk about that here in a minute. It's hard to distinguish between Wim's brain over body stuff. Okay, let's talk about that. So let's not even talk specifically about Wim Hof method. Let's just go and talk about cold training. And I don't care how you're practicing cold training. Let me clarify what I meant by feeling warm. Because sometimes in those really short clips, I'll say it, and the way I said it is right, but maybe that's why we do these live events. That's why I do YouTube lives. It's because I want to give you a chance to really hear me have a little more time to do a little long form and just kind of discuss it. So when it comes to after drop, when it comes to specifically, actually, it's hypothermia. Whenever you get into a state of hypothermia, you may actually feel really, really hot in the cold. And one of the hallmarks of a person who has been, like, for instance, in areas where there are blizzards, in areas where there are whiteouts. So a whiteout is whenever there's so much snow in the air, so much precipitation that you can't see. It's really hard to see your hand in front of you. Well, they will find people who have been caught out in the snow, caught out in the cold, and what's common is that they will have taken off their coat, and they will have taken off a lot of their thermal clothing. It's like, why did you do that? And the reality is that whenever you are starting to be hypothermic, you will actually, many times, not all the time, but many people will report feeling very hot, very warm. And this is whenever, you're at a point where you can't trust your body. And when it comes to cold trainers, and again, I go over, one of the reasons why I wrote the ebook on cold training is specifically to keep you safe. Because I'm such a diehard believer in cold training, and that I want to make sure that people do it safely. I don't want someone to be really enthusiastic and say, let's go. And then you know how it is. People will get really enthusiastic about weight loss or about weight training or something, or like martial arts is a big one. And they won't have any real great guidance. Maybe they're, who knows how they're training, and then they'll hurt themselves a bunch of times. And they did it because they didn't really have the right kind of guidance. Well, with cold training, I was like, okay, I got to make sure there's at least some kind of guidance. So that's one of the reasons why I did that. But yeah, you're going to actually feel warm when you get to be hypothermic. Now, after drop is not that way, really. Okay. So just to clarify, you've got the training zone. Okay. Well, actually, okay, erase that. Before you get to the training zone, you've got the initial shock of cold, right? You step outside, you get into the ice bath, you've got the initial shock. Your brain is like, what are you doing to me? You're trying to kill us. Get us out of this situation, right? And that's where training comes in. That's where you've got to learn how to deal with that stressor. And then after you deal with that, after you adapt so that you can actually sit there peacefully, somewhat peacefully in the cold, whether it's ice bath, sitting in the snow, however it is, then you're going to notice that, yes, you feel the cold physically. It's not like, I'm just telling you, you still feel the fact that it's cold. It's not like your body can no longer sense cold things. You still feel the fact that it's cold, but it just doesn't bother you, right? Or at least you can handle it. And that's what I call the training zone. So and this is in the book, right? So the training zone, that's the good times. That means you've made it into the area where you're starting to receive benefits for cold training. You've gotten past the initial shock. Now you're in that area where, oh, okay, I can handle this. I'm inoculating myself from fear and anxiety. I am receiving, all-you-can-eat buffet of these happy chemicals and stress hormones and things. But I'm able to really and this is where you can actually do mind over body, right? The thing is, if you're not paying attention, okay, and this is what we see in novices, but also morons like me many times, okay? I've been that moron. I've been that jackass so many times in my life where I hear my body say, you know what? You were able to maintain control. You were in a safe zone, but now, man, I'm starting I'm starting to uncontrollably shiver. I'm starting to feel really miserable. I'm getting really to where I can't handle this cold anymore. There is the danger zone, okay? I'm not going to play the song, but you can listen to the Kenny Loggins version, right? You're in the danger zone, right? And if you're in the danger zone, that means you've pushed yourself too far and you're probably going to have after-drop. But you're going to feel cold more than ever. That's whenever you're really, oh my God, I'm super cold. Okay. And then if you are stubborn, right? Or if you're just not playing it safe, or if you have no idea what you're doing, you're like, no, I'm miserable, but I'm just going to stay out here in the cold. And what happens is, and this has happened to, and I say, morons and stuff. I'm talking about myself. I'm saying other people who I very much respect, we've somehow miraculously survived our brushes with pushing past the safety zone, pushing past the training zone, pushing past the danger zone in some cases. And that's when you're in the death zone. That's whenever you're really playing with your life. And that is whenever you might start feeling warm again. You might even start feeling like you're super hot. And then the problem is you might be like, haha, I have conquered the cold. And so many of us have thought that. I'm just going to stay in this ice bath for an hour because now I'm starting to feel hot in the cold. And whereas if this happened during the training zone, like that safety area, that would be pretty sweet. But no, it's happened because you pushed yourself way too far. And yeah, so that is what I'm talking about when it comes to pushing yourself too far, when it comes to feeling hot in the cold. That is what I'm talking about. Hopefully that makes that clear. Let's see, I'm going to skip around. Guys, if you want to make sure your question gets answered, of course, we have the super chat, but I'm going to skip around. Brandon made a good comment here. Bloomington, Indiana needs a workshop. Absolutely. In fact, before COVID, I was going to be doing a workshop there at the monastery. There's a monastery there that a fellow instructor and I, we were going to set something up there. So maybe eventually, really Bloomington, Indiana is a fantastic place. So I'm really, that's something that will happen. Let's see. Eric says child training outside. At what point is too cold? Wind chill. Now, Eric, are you meaning to say child training or cold training? Because you know that there's a big difference in how I'd answer that question. I'll talk a little bit about cold. Okay, cold training. All right, cool. So what temperature is too cold? And wind chill is a major killer, right? Wind chill is one of the biggest reasons why people get after drop or overexposure and frostbite even, right? Because wind chill, the whole point of the whole thing, what wind chill is, right, is essentially, it's this strange, weird way of science, condensation on your skin, right? Your skin is moist, and so this wind chill, it borrows heat from your skin. And this is this weird aspect of physics. It borrows heat, and it makes it dissipate much faster than it would normally. So your skin temperature may be insanely colder than the actual real temperature outside. And so this is something you have to be aware of. Anything below freezing can lead to hypothermia. Even a little bit above freezing, you can get to be hypothermic. But you really do need to watch, and that's where wind chill, especially if you're into outdoor cold water plunges. That's in my second edition, the second edition of my ebook, A Practical Guide to Cold Training. I have a whole section about that now. In my the first edition, I didn't really cover it as much, but that is something that a lot of people need to know is, hey, if I'm getting into a cold lake, that's awesome, right? I'm going to get into this ice bathing experience. Well, that's a cold exposure, but then you're all wet and you get out. So what should I do then? So I kind of dissect how that works. But Eric, to answer your question, I wouldn't say there's a specific temperature, but because it's going to depend on your training. It really depends on your training. So let's see, this weekend it's going to get down to 4 Fahrenheit. And guys, I've had hardly any calories today, so I'm not even going to try to do the math. 4 Fahrenheit in Celsius.
4 degrees Fahrenheit is equivalent to minus 15.556 degrees Celsius.
So for most people, that would be, you might go out, you might feel it. It's okay to go out and just feel it. Walk outside your front door. It's whenever people say, okay, I'm going to go on this long hike and not have any kind of like backpack or any kind of safety. That's whenever you're really playing with your life, even possibly your digits. And I guess I'll just kind of leave it with this. Take good care of your extremities. I have a beard, right? So it does actually, so I get a lot of comments that having my beard is cheating, and it's not, except for this tender part of your neck. If you don't have a beard, it's okay to wear a scarf, because you can get little bits of frostbite, and that sucks, right? I mean, it's just gonna suck. So take good care of places where circulation is gonna, like your fingers. Make sure fingers, toes, ears, those are the first places you want to cover. And that's even if there's no wind chill. But it all depends on your training, and then the amount of time is what's going to make the biggest amount of difference. So, and I go through this really in depth in the ebook, but just don't look at any one session as your championship round, and you're probably going to be fine, unless you literally are trying to break a world record. Never look at it like this is the session that I need to break the world record. Go out, experience, listen to what's happening in your body. Don't get into your ego. Don't try to set records. Don't try to brag on, social media, and then go back in. Much of, like, I was out for hours yesterday, but the day before I went out for 15 minutes, sat on my front porch, and it was maybe, it was somewhere between 15 and 20 degrees Fahrenheit, which is too cold for a lot of people. But for me, that's not a super hard training session for me. You don't have to do crazy hard every time. So Lee Wilson says, I'm going bald, so I need to protect my head. Yes, you do. You do. Anytime you have, but the thing is, protecting your head is a good thing, especially because of your ears, because those are the first things. It's those extremities. People get frostbite on their ears, their nose. So a scarf is really helpful. If you have Raynaud's syndrome, you got to be real careful with wherever it is you have Raynaud's syndrome. A lot of people have it in the fingers, so be real careful with that, because your body is naturally trying to protect you. You always have to remember your body has your best interest at heart, right? Oftentimes we look at our bodies, sadly enough, with this adversarial point of view, when in reality, your body's on your team. Your body is really rooting for you. It's like, dude, we got to make it through this alive. And your body is going to reduce circulation where it's not absolutely necessary. In the first place, it's going to be your fingers, your toes, your ears, the little extremity parts on your ears, places where it's like, yes, I want to keep that, but if it came between keeping that or my heart or my liver or any internal organ, I gotta lose the ear. I gotta lose the fingers. I always say that even though you intellectually know that you need your hand to feed yourself, your body isn't concerned with what's for lunch tomorrow. Your body's concerned with, am I going to live past this moment? You always have to remember that. That's your body's living moment to moment. You up here, you've got the neocortex, you've got the prefrontal cortex, you got this amazing brain that can look out, a year to 2 years, 3 years in advance, or next week, or even, you've got all that capacity. Your body, on the other hand, is like, live right now. Your body's living in the now. So, all right, let's see here. Let's see. Hi, Jesse. I sat in 5 degrees Celsius temperature in just shorts, drank icy water while doing it, and I noticed after a while of shivering, I was comfortable in that temperature. I enjoy the cold a bit better now. Good. One of the things I used to do, and it's because I actually am a glutton just in general. Especially in the summertime, I like to reward myself after doing a lot of really kind of challenging ice bathing. I'll go eat some ice cream. What was his name? I had Joseph Coburl. Man, I'm a huge fan of that guy. He's a really cool guy. I had him on. He at one time he had the world record for the world's longest ice exposure. And he he ate an ice cream cone right after breaking that record. So yeah, go for it, man. Oh man. Okay. So having said that, let's see here. He is the king in the call. Oh man, yeah. Joseph Cobrel, that guy is really crazy. If you haven't checked him out on Instagram, he has an Instagram now, and he's just a regular dude. He's so humble. That's what I love. Is these guys, and this cold record, the ice exposure record, it's kind of been up for grabs. Like a lot of people are attempting to push that limit later. I'm really excited to see how far it goes. A lot more people into that space right now. And so while I personally have no desire to try to stay in, skin to ice for longer than, like right now, I think the world record is 2 hours, 40 minutes or something like that. I recently read about a guy who broke the record. I'm not sure if it was actually validated by Guinness or not, but 2 hours, 40 minutes. I have no desire. I'm just in it for the health and for the mental clarity, for the mindset, for reducing stress. But, anyway, so it's interesting to see where this is going. See, Danny L. Okay, 2 questions for you, Jesse. All right, Danny, let's do this. If I may, 1, swallowing during retentions, and 2, pelvic tilt during breathing thoughts. Okay, I guess that's the question. What are my thoughts on those 2 things? Let me have a swallow right now. Okay, so I'm going to back up just a second on this and say that when it comes to, let's talk about apneas. Okay, so any breath hold. Okay, so if you use the word retention, I'm assuming you're referring to Wim Hof method protocol, but any kind of breath hold, let's just kind of talk about that. So there's a lot of different reasons why you might swallow. And so it depends on a few things. One might literally be that you're producing saliva and you just need to swallow. And that might be as a result of a strong parasympathetic signal due to a long breath hold. Okay. Oftentimes you get a long parasympathetic, or after a long breath hold, or after a long exhale, you'll strongly stimulate your autonomic nervous system, and you just make more saliva whenever you're parasympathetic. So that's one. Another reason why you might swallow is a stress response. So let's think about that. And this is something that, if for those of you guys, some of you guys have been taking my my breath mastery course. So if you haven't taken my breath mastery course, I am about to announce the 2nd cohort. The first cohort went through, and they helped me work out all the bugs. And for that, I highly appreciate your help. And it's been a real team effort building this into like what I think is some of my best work, and it's still growing, and I'm going to be adding as I go. So I want to thank all the people who have been in the 6-week breath mastery course. I'll be announcing the next one. But one of the things we talk about is the stress response. And this means, if you think about this, okay, let's just take a second just to think about this. And I don't know if you've ever read comic books or cartoons or whatever, but when the bad guy comes to town, what do all the townsfolk do? I guess that's old Western movie stuff, I guess. When the bad guy comes to town, what do all the townsfolk do? Gulp, right? They swallow. Gulp. So it can be as a result of stress as well. Okay, so that's weird. I don't really feel stressed during, for instance, a long breath hold. That maybe I feel blissful. Well, there are certain things happening in your blood, and again, I don't have time to go into great depth. That's why I do the breath mastery class. But certain things are happening in your blood, and what happens is you might feel a stress as a result. And when that happens, you might feel the unavoidable urge to swallow. Now, is that a bad thing? Well, maybe, maybe not. You know, again, it's not always good, it's not always bad. So that's kind of something about that. And then pelvic tilt during breathing. So during breathing, a lot of people do hyperextended posture, and they feel like, wow, this really makes me amazing. Most people have an anterior pelvic tilt or some kind of lower cross syndrome, just because we sit on chairs all the time. A lot of us have underactive glutes, overactive, or just really tight psoas or hip flexors, and this can cause breathing dysfunction. My best advice to you is just have a neutral spine whenever you do your breath work, whether that is lying down or seated. And that is what's best for your overall breath. Man, this has almost been an hour. It has been an hour, pretty much. I think I'm coming up on an hour. We're going to do 4 more minutes because on my timer here it says 56 minutes. So we'll do a full hour today. But man, this has gone by fast. Guys, I want to thank you guys for being here. This is just awesome. Let's see here. Self-Upgrade Vlogs asks, do you think humans are built for tropical climates rather than temperate ones? Because I doubt I would survive overnight in 0 Celsius in shorts, worn, but plenty of native animals to Europe can easily do it. I think we are just now learning about our physiology in ways that we never thought possible, and I think we're going to continue to learn. If you look up the story of Samoset, so look up that story. The story of Samoset. He was a Native American in I forget if it was Plymouth. He walked into town. It was one of the early settlements in the United States. He walked into town, and the European settlers, they saw him. They felt like he was naked. He was wearing very little clothing, and he wasn't really fazed by it. And I guess he asked for beer. he had met Europeans before. He's like, hey, you have any beer? And they said, aren't you cold? Right? And he said, no, man, but what about the beer? I'm paraphrasing. I don't think he said, no, man. But the point is, we're learning. We're still learning. And I will say that I don't know. I think certainly it is easier for thermal regulation in a place that where you're not going to freeze to death. So there are obvious places where humans, it's easier to live, I would say. But I think we're still learning about this. Rusty, my man, let's take your question and then we'll close it up. Let's see here. Jesse, sometimes I try to breathe in deep. There are times it feels like I just can't get more breath in. Yet once I get toward the end, I feel like I can. Any ideas as far as what's going on? Okay. Jesse, sometimes whenever I breathe in deep, there are times when it feels like I just can't get more breath in. Okay, so you're trying to take a nice deep breath, a big breath, I guess. Deep and big. Once I get toward the end, I feel like I can. Any ideas what's going on? Yeah. So there's a few things, right? So most humans in the modern world, and we have obstructed breath patterns. Most of us sit in chairs. Most of us have cell phones. Most of us have computers. And this leads to postural issues. Most of us have some kind of obstruction, whether it is, and most of the time it's not a physiological thing. Like some people have actual obstructions that, hey, I'm sorry, man, you're born with some kind of an obstruction. But others of us have, most of us have some kind of a postural issue, or we have been conditioned to breathe in such a shallow way, in such a way that is really antithetical to our breathing mechanics, that it causes us to have obstructions or parts of our breath wave that really are not doing what they're supposed to do. And Rusty, I believe you just signed up for the 6-week breath mastery class, and we cover a lot about this in the 6-week breath mastery class. If you don't have the mechanics, if you don't have the physiology right, I don't care how many techniques you know how to do, you're limited from the start. And you might have been practicing whatever techniques, you might have had a book of a million different breathing techniques, and if you don't have a lot of the things we cover in the breath mastery class, if we don't have a lot of those things set, correcting malfunctions, that's what I do. Most of my clients, we work a long time on correcting malfunctions and dysfunctions. And the techniques, I mean, they're easy. Techniques are generally pretty easy to adopt, and they're easy to share. But the difficult part is, okay, you've got this whatever, and you said my spine is basically curved in the lumbar, almost like a full C. Well, okay. Okay. So I think we've figured out something here. So yes, and thank you for spelling Samoset. Those are things. And hey, man, one of the things that I think that we need to all get over is feeling like we need to have it all set up and perfect. I am constantly fighting my body's tendency to try to adapt to a maladaptive lifestyle. So for instance, I wrote a book on breathwork. In that book, I covered a lot of these postural issues, right? As I was typing, as I spent all of that time writing that book, I was hunched over. I was ruining my posture as I was telling people we need to work on our posture. Our posture is essential for breath. So every day I'm working on it. Every day I'm working on improving my mobility, or at least I should be. So a lot of days I don't. And I'll get busy, and just like anybody else, and then I'll make excuses and whatever, but we all have to work on it, and you're never done. That's the thing about our mobility and our flexibility and our posture and our bodies, is that you're never finished. It's your body's constantly. I talked to there's a guy that he made the comment that our body is always training. It's always trying to adapt to live in whatever situations we're putting it in more effectively. And sadly enough, we don't think about it, but we're constantly putting our bodies in temperature controlled rooms, right? So I wake up in a temperature controlled house. I get into a temperature controlled car, and I go into a temperature controlled building to go to work or school. And then I do the exact opposite. All day you're in temperature control. Very rarely, I mean, maybe the walk from your car to the building, you're not in temperature control. So that's whenever you're training your body. But most of the day, your body is being trained. Hey, don't focus on having any ability to thermoregulate, right? That's why everybody's like so weirded out whenever they see you in an ice bath or out in the snow or whatever. They're like, oh my God, the body can't do this. Right? Same thing with our breath. Same thing with our movement patterns. I always talk about, if you want to see the perfect breather, go find the closest 2-year-old, find the closest baby. We're born perfect breathers. If you want to see the world's best squat form, go find a 2-year-old or a 3-year-old. They perfect squat. They can hang in a low squat all day. It's only after we've trained, unwittingly, we've trained our bodies not to be able to do natural movements, that we have to, oh man, there's dysfunction. I have aches and pains. I can't breathe very well. And then we have to go back. But I suffer from it just as much as anybody. And this is why we do what we're doing. I'm just trying to figure out how to not have those things, and just like you guys are. Standing desks are fantastic. Of course, then whenever you're in a standing desk, then you still do need to do some squatting positions. You still need to stay active. It's just a matter of our bodies were designed to be active and to survive in, you know, a completely different world than what we're living in right now. So having said that, I've been going for about an hour, and actually I have to go pick up my son from his after school program and get a bunch of other stuff done. I eventually will eat food today because, oh my God, I've just been working all day and just running on fumes, but also excitement. And I can't wait to be able to share a lot of these things with you. Hey, Papa Geek, you just, hopefully you weren't here whenever I decided just to I haven't eaten very much today, so I didn't even try to convert Celsius and Fahrenheit. So hey guys, you made it for the very end. I'm so sorry. Actually, I don't know. So last time for the last session that we did last week, I played Green Day, and actually I got flagged for copyright, and they took some of the I guess we're splitting the I don't know, the 5 cents that I make off of these live sessions. I guess I'm giving some to Green Day. So hey, thanks for the music, Green Day. But hey guys, thanks so much for being here. I hope you guys have a great weekend. Next week, I am really excited. Next week, I've got a guest for this live. Who was supposed to be here last week, Emma Australia. She's from the UK. She is just an amazing person, got an amazing story. So I hope you can tune in for that. I've got a bunch of cool guests coming in the near future. There's a guy I'm going to be interviewing pretty soon. He ran a half marathon barefoot in the snow. So I've got some cool stuff coming up. And so lots of cool things coming up. Guys, thanks so much for being here. And if you haven't already done so, please like and subscribe. And don't forget to go out there and be kind to one another. Have a great weekend. See you guys.